Hey guys, we have potentially one of the greatest weekends for summoning that we've had in a long time, or just ever. And despite it not really having like a 2x by 15x, it's still really hype. And a question that's been floating around a lot recently is, should you summon this week? So I'm going to cover the Ancient Banner, the Divines, the normal summons, all of that stuff as usual, and kind of giving you guys a little bit of a leaky side to this because there are some banners coming pretty soon, which haven't really been talked about. And we don't really have that much information on, but they will influence whether or not I think you should summon this week. So let's get into it. I'm not going to waste any time. First of all, the debatable best ancient summoning banner we've ever had, if not very close to it, and that's because of this guy, Yovar. So Yovar is incredibly hype. I know a lot of people have been saving for him, and he's really cool. He's definitely better than Araka. He's amazing. I highly recommend going for him, and he's just all around really cool. So Piercer Lords, just by the very act of their Lord skills, already are amazing. Just straight up. Piercers are very good. There's Silas, you have Hex, you have, all of these things that are really good. And the Lord skill that Yovar brings is absurdly good. We have, just kind of normal things, faction member, basic attributes increased, and then extra range, already crazy. And then when deployed, faction team members damage increases by 15% every 20 seconds, stacking up to 3 times. It will be better for longer fights, but a lot of Piercer content that they are good in has a lot of bosses in them, which kind of supports this sort of Lord skill. Very good. It's about on par with Araka, but Araka is not that great of a unit. Yovar is. So let's just kind of quickly fly through this a little bit. He has anti-air, defense penetration. He conjures a flying sword every 4 seconds. There can be at most 12 at the same time. Every allied marksman on the field increases the conjuring speed of flying swords. So essentially every ally you have down who is a marksman essentially makes him, get that faster. And then marksman, when there are 4 extra marksmen in battle, the conjuring speed maxes out, reaching 1 flying sword every 2 seconds. So he's meeting this max in about 20 or so seconds. Pretty cool. And then he deals 50% damage to one enemy 2 times, 2 hits, which is pretty cool. His ult is incredibly cheap, consumes all flying swords, so you do have to kind of wait a bit longer if you want the full potential. And he activates the flying sword formation to continuously deal 25% damage to the enemy with the lowest HP and range. Frequency of strikes increases with the number of flying swords, reaching up to 60 strikes within 12. Whoa, my brain is not working. The frequency of strikes increases with the number of flying swords, reaching up to 60 strikes within 12 flying swords. Really interesting ability there. When he casts his ultimate, reduces the attack interval by 20%, and each attack deals 55% damage 3 times. This effect lasts for 10 seconds. If an ultimate consumes 12 flying swords through the full cap, the duration of the effect is extended. That's very good ability. And then moving on, after an allied marksman casts their ultimate, he gains a flying sword, and the following 3 basic attacks ignore an extra 15% defense. Goes up to about 23%, which is a weird number, but that is what it goes up to. So he's pretty good. I've seen him do, with decent gear, about 100 mil on Guild Boss, Nightmare 4. He does less than Silas, but still does, similar. In Guild v Guild, something to mention for those of you who care, he has the same BP as Silas, which is really high, but he also gets a Lord bonus addition to that. So even just as Lord BP, he's still one of the best Lords in the game. And I would go for him purely for that if you care about Guild v Guild. Overall, he's pretty good. I think he has a lot of places where he would be good. He's a little wonky and a little weird, but in kind of a fun way. And I really like him. I think he's very solid, a very good unit, and already worth going for. But the second unit on this banner is also really good, and that is Carnelian. Carnelian might be one of the most underrated heroes in the game. Undeniably probably the best Guild v Guild healer in the game, or support, I should say, because she barely heals. And she's really, really interesting. So just to some of her skills, I'm not going to really read through all the kits. You could probably read through them yourself. She essentially puts these things called soul essences on her, on her allies, and then that essentially makes them have unyielding functionally. And it's really good. So essentially she puts it on when the allies are about to die. It just consumes a stack, doesn't have them die, and it's really, really, really strong. She's a staple in Guild v Guild. Really, really good in other areas, but she's very niche and hard to use. But if you can get her to go properly, she's amazing. She also has one of the best Guild v Guild A5s in the game. If you guys want like a best awakenings in Guild v Guild video, let me know. But this is amazing. Not like any of us are ever going to get an A5, but I really, really want Carnelian because I actually care about Guild v Guild a lot. And yeah. This banner is like a 10 out of 10 to summon for. Really good. I know this is, I think, the most hype 10x, or sorry, 15x for any ancient banner we've ever had. And I don't think it's really that close. I know a lot of people are waiting for like Valeron, Praetus or whatever, and Valeron should be coming in like 2 months or so. Praetus is not in sight. And we also, a little bit of a leak here, we have an Ajax and Ardea banner coming soon. I will have a video on that eventually. But just know that this is a really good banner, and I don't think we're going to get better for a little while. And I know lots of people have been saving for it, so it's going to be very, very hype. I'll pop my pity on it and summon 600 Ancients for Venom when it drops. That should be around Sunday, because I'll be busy on Saturday. Yeah, so highly recommend going for that. Moving on though, we have the Setrum Seraphina banner, and this one kind of depends on what you want to do on the Dahlia banner. The Dahlia banner, for those of you who don't know, is projected to be out next week, so literally the week after this one, and it's going to be a limited 250 exclusive banner, like normal, kind of similar to Lust and Gwendolyn, Reeves, stuff like that. And she's very solid. I know a lot of people are kind of upset because her range is a little quirky and a little weird, and people are kind of not sure if there's really any place for her. And personally, I think she's getting a little bit too much hate. I think what the game tends to do, especially with limiteds, is they will release them and have them be a little odd, a little weird, and then they'll essentially grow into content in the future. Like eventually they'll release something where they're very good. And even then, I don't think Dahlia's range is that bad. She clearly is designed to be for people who don't have Comet, Fierna, Boreas for like Geared 1. And she's very good for that, I think. I've tried not to look into it because I want to try her as a surprise, and I don't have a test server, which is a little lame, but it is how it is. But she seems not that bad, so I think she's getting a bit overhated. If you don't have a good AoE legendary mage, I recommend going for her, and if you're going for her, I would skip this banner as a whole. But if you're not going for her, then it kind of opens up this one. So let me just quickly analyze all of the heroes before I tell you guys my opinion. First of all, Setrum, very good. He's one of the best marksmen in the game. He's essentially required. There are some ways to do it without him, but he's essentially required for faction trials for Infernal. He's really good for Guild Boss, godlike for Void Rift. I don't think there's many heroes better than him. He's amazing for just a lot of content, Grade 3, any marksman content. He's very good. He has very, very high burst damage and is really, really solid. I really want him because he has debatably one of the best, if not the second best, battle powers in the game for Guild v Guild. He's absolutely crazy for that, and I really want him for that. He's really, really interesting. Very, very good. You could read his kit if you would like, but I think it's good. He's very good, definitely worth going for, and I will be going for this banner a bit. I have a bunch of divines and a lot of summons, so I could summon for Dahlia and for him. And then we get to Seraphina. So Seraphina is a little odd. She's a bit confusing, and I know a lot of people will not like her when she comes out. Just kind of a classic case of a good hero with a hero that's kind of iffy. I don't think she's bad, but she is kind of confusing. So her main gimmick and her main kind of character is energy cache. So essentially when she's attacking, she builds up a certain amount of fireballs just from being idle, and then when enemy gets close, she shoots them all immediately, and it's really high burst damage. she needs a little bit of downtime in between. So I don't know if that makes her niche or it makes her a little bit weird, but it's a little confusing. So she's going to be good in certain areas like arena. I know Jay and Geo, if you guys know that channel, highly recommend checking them out. Has a couple videos going over her where she seems pretty good for arena, although she's a little bit niche still. And I don't think any endgame player is really going to want her. She's not bad at all, but once again, she's just a little bit too niche. She needs too much downtime to really excel. Like, if she has that ideal downtime where after every like attack she has that certain amount of downtime, she does outdamage Silas. But otherwise, Silas obviously deletes her from existence like he does to almost everyone, and she kind of underperforms. So it's a little bit too specific. If anyone knows of any uses of her, please tell me. And I just don't think she's that worth it, so I would kind of ignore her. Baron, one of the best epic tanks, probably the second best epic tank. Lily, highly underrated healer. And then Kalina is not going to be very good, but she's new, she's cool, and I want to make a guide on her when she drops. So hopefully I'll be able to do that. And yeah, so this one I would give like a 3 out of 5 in terms of quality. I would summon for it if you don't have Setram, you want him to be awakened, or you just want Setram in general and you don't really want Dahlia, or you have enough summons already. Otherwise, I would just skip this one because it's a little bit too kind of lopsided, because it's a little bit too specific, and we do have some good banners coming eventually, and I just wouldn't go for it. And then the 2Xs, maybe the Divines you could go for if you would like, but personally I wouldn't summon on them unless you're an early player. Early players obviously should always be going for quantity in terms of their legendaries, 1+1s and 2Xs. But if you're kind of later game like me, you want to kind of just focus on those 15Xs. That's where you're going to get all the useful heroes for your account. Overall, really good weekend. Definitely I would summon on this one unless you're desperately craving Ardea to the point where you're clawing out your hair and you don't need Yovar, even though he's really, really good. It's up to you. So just kind of follow your heart, do whatever you want. That's kind of that's really the real advice is it's your account, it's your game, it's your life. Do whatever you feel. I just am giving my opinion, and if you guys don't agree, that's fine. If you guys do, if this changes your opinion at all, if it doesn't really matter. At the end of the day, do whatever you want to do and it'll turn out okay. So good luck you guys, good luck this weekend, and wish me luck because I am at my Lord Pity for Ancients and I'm really stressed because I really want Yovar, but I don't know what I'll get. So yeah, stay tuned for that video when it comes out because that will definitely be a video. Anyways, that's about it for me. Thank you guys for watching. Like and subscribe, whatever the heck. Doesn't really matter. And Destined signing out.